I thought, well, doggone, well, let's try it. And I've been really, really happy with it, especially after the results I had seen last year. I'm not even thinking about anything else. My name is Ron Betson. I ranch here in northwest Nebraska. This year we've got about 225 pairs out here. So before I was just using our local mineral mix and of course salt, and I had it out there for them all the time, year round. And then in the wintertime I would start caking in December, and I'd cake them clear till May because we're a late calving operation. And of course, there's a lot of cost in that. I started Riomax almost 2 years ago. We went over to Boone's house and he had a little meeting there and he was talking about the results he had seen. And I thought, well, doggone, if we can do that without having to put out salt and mineral all the time, well, still put salt out, but mineral and whatnot, and have, good healthy calves and the cows being healthy all winter, and summer. I thought, well, let's try it. It was a huge sticker shock. I mean, that's a lot of money. And then of course you break it down to a daily cost, and it's not that bad. It is, as time progressed, and of course to have a good test, you got to do it for at least a year, and that worked out pretty darn good. I'm really happy with it. Of course, we've been in a drought for right at 3 years. And last year we weaned early, and we weaned 3 weeks early because we had bad grass. There just wasn't enough. And we took them into town, green wean, of course, and those calves were 14 pounds heavier 3 weeks earlier than what we have been weaning, which was amazing, just amazing. And then, of course, we haven't been caking in the wintertime. We do cake them when the weather is really adverse and, really cold. That's pretty minimal. And then, of course, we graze year-round as best we can. This year, however, since it was so droughty and there wasn't any grass, we ended up feeding for about 27 days. And at 27 days, I figured, well, the cows, they probably need about 26 pounds of feed a day. And I was feeding them 20, and they were perfectly content. That's like 5 pounds of hay that I saved a day per cow. That adds up pretty quick. So, and in my herd this spring, that was at least a bale a day. There's whatever, 100 and some bucks a day. Last year, since we weaned 3 weeks earlier, our vet couldn't get here until our original time to Preg check. And then we had a blizzard, and then we had another blizzard. And so we went through some really, really tough weather, and the old cows, the 12, 13, 14-year-old cows, they fell out immediately. The middle-aged cows, our pregnancy rate was, and our younger ones, was awesome. I mean, I can't give a good number to that because I don't have it, but I don't think it could have been much better because we had some really bad weather. And I figured that between the caking costs and the condition of the cows and the pregnancy rates and the pounds more on the calves, it's pretty much a freebie, because I think we're making money by using these tubs versus what we were doing in the past. Like the label says, it'll pay for itself. Yeah, I just can't say enough about, I really love the product.